Finally, X-Men 97, Episode 6, Life Death, Part 2. And I gotta say, it feels good to have the Queen back. All right, guys, Brent here back with Geek Variants. We cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time, episode 6 of X-Men 97. And we learned from last week's mistake, I won't be starting. And I won't get characters' names right, wrong, hopefully. I don't know. Will, take it from here before I do something stupid.
Hey, look, speaking of starting, they start off this episode with the title opener, and you can clearly see that, Gambit and Magneto have been removed from the opening title card. Nightcrawler was added. So that's good to see. I like how it's always ever changing and evolving based off the situations that happened in the last episode. So that's nice to see, and it tells you that they're taking this very seriously as far as how the storylines are going. And it's going to keep us guessing as far as who the main X-Men are going to be when this comes down to the final fight of this season. So hey, I'm happy about it. Storm, I think I can speak for everyone and say welcome back for Storm. She has made her resurgence. She found out that not only was it the Executioner's weapon that was keeping her down, but some other internal stuff, as well as just things that have just been haunting her just in general. And she has made her comeback, and she is rocking, if I believe, is that the uncanny suit? She came back rocking the black.
That's my second favorite Storm outfit.
Yeah, she looks absolutely wonderful, and I'm so happy to have her back. She definitely seems like she has rekindled her love interest with Forge for sure for the time being, even despite knowing some of the stuff that we know as far as how everything transpired with the Executioner's weapon and how it's created. So I'm curious to see how far this relationship's going to go and if we're going to get any other cameos. But again, Storm back. Let's see how long it takes for her to actually return to the X-Men, or if she's going to stick around with Forge for a bit longer. All right. Other than Storm, I really want to get to the meat and potatoes of this, which is the Shi'ar. Like, we've got a lot of stuff going on in the cosmic entity of X-Men that we hit on with the original series, but again, we're bringing it back around, and this is where Tony's really going to shine, because not only did we see Ronan.
I hate Space X-Men. I do.
And I know you do. That's why I say he's going to shine. He's got stuff to talk about.
I knew who Gladiator was.
Yeah, we got Ronan, we got Lilandra, we got Deathbird, Vulcan, Gladiator. So there's people in here. So I'm gonna
Which is strange because if you talk about Vulcan, you gotta let everybody know he's one of the Summers brothers. He's the most powerful of the three of them.
So let's get into it. Come on.
That's not it. Okay, I think it's you two know that I hate Space X-Men. I don't like the space travels. I just hate it. I hate Guardians of the Galaxy. I like Earth-based shenanigans. When you get to space, it's too many different species we can get into. I already suck at names, but I will say that I like how they introduced the Imperial Guard, and everybody already knows Ronan from the MCU, and they know he's a pretty big bad guy. And to see him get dropped lets you know how powerful the Imperial Guard is. And a lot of people try to compare the Imperial Guard to the Justice League. Me, I think they more so fall with the Legion of Superheroes from, the future Justice League that has the 1,000+ members. Because as you saw, you had Gladiator, as Brent said, who is their Superman or Superboy, depending on how you want to look at it. I want to say I saw Starbolt also. He did the energy projection. We saw Titan, who was the real big one. Vulcan, who I have no idea why he was there. I want to say I'm not too big on all the Imperial Guard members. I think that was Oracle. I'm not sure. I'm probably wrong, but I'm pretty sure somebody in the comments is going to let me know. But it shows that the Shi'ar are an all-powerful empire. and I was kind of waiting to see if the Kree champion was going to show up, Marvel, but he didn't. I would have liked for him just to show up because I think him and Gladiator would have went at it, and he would have bodied.
For sure.
He'd have bodied Gladiator. I don't care what none of y'all say. He would have bodied Gladiator. But it boils down to they get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. We find out that Xavier is alive, which we all knew. And remember, I said I didn't want him back, but they're going to bring him back, and it's annoying at this point. And they're doing the wedding, and for those who read the comics, this was actually a storyline where they did fall in love and they were getting married. And I like how they mentioned the Mcron crystal and the OG story of the brother trying to take over. Deathbird is way worse than the brother, just to let y'all know, as you can probably see from her just in this episode. She's way worse. She will turn into a Viltrumite if given a chance. She will try to take over everything. So I like how they played on, okay, if you're going to marry the Terran, who, they look down on Earthlings as we are beneath them, then you're going to have stipulations. And surprisingly for me, Charles agreed to it, because people who know Charles Xavier knows that he loves his X-Men. That's why he calls them his children. He loves them. Once you're an X-Man, you're his child, and that's it. And he was willing to give all this up for Lilandra. I don't know if I'm willing to do all that. So of course he has to go through the council, and he has to agree to all the stipulations of, for getting everything about Earth, for getting your X-Men. And when they ask him that question, that's pauses, and he's like, I can't do this. And you kind of see that's where the parent in him comes out. Mm-hmm. Deathbird comes in, and she says, see, I told you couldn't trust him. And then everybody starts to get up and leave. And then Xavier remembers he is an alpha level mutant with some of the strongest psychic powers known. Second, in my opinion, only to Jean Grey, who's Omega. And for him to grab everybody, including Gladiator, and bring them to the astral plane, make them sit down in desk was hilarious.
It was so stupid.
I know you hated it, Brent, but that right there shows the extent of Xavier's mental powers. Let's not forget Lilandra is a telepath also, and he forced everybody to sit down and pay attention to him. What, Brent?
Can I just say, for an alpha level telepath, if you have the power to go to basically whatever realm you deem possible, and your stupid self decides to have it be a classroom, are you kidding me?
His
How
name
corny are you?
Demerits for you, Brent.
Demerits for you. He's literally his name
that apple up
is
somewhere else that don't work.
His
I don't
name
care.
is Professor X.
Is it an example of what you don't do with alpha level powers?
Look at what he did. He made Deathbird eat an apple.
We saw how it ended. Get to how it ended. I'll shut up.
You know
how it. Tell me how it ended.
Look, when he made one of the most powerful Shi'ar members forcibly eat an apple on the astral plane, that right there, that was great. That made that specific scene for me. I'm sorry it did. I know you hated it, and I'm glad you did, but for me, and then that's where I don't want. Do we want to finish this part, because this is going to take us to the end of the episode, or do we want to?
We need to. We need to address this elephant in the room. So, follow the chronological standpoint.
After he showed everybody that he's the man in charge, and then boom, the globe catches on fire. That's when everybody turns to skeleton, and that's when he knows his kids are in trouble. It solidifies his fear when he sees Gambit, and Gambit turns into a skeleton, and he has that psychic backlash, and he's like, I have to go back to Earth. My kids need me. And that's where we get this part right here was just great. When everybody turned into a skeleton, Xavier literally turned back into an X-Man, because in my opinion, he was Shi'ar at this point. He had been gone for a year. That's what they said. He had pretty much forsaken Earth. That moment right there brought him back to reality and brought him back to know I need to go back where I'm needed. And it also helped that he compared Gladiator to Magneto because of their beliefs, which they did have the same beliefs. And that's where it all went. That was pretty much the best part of the episode for me, because then we get back down and you see Trask running around, and this is where the real villain who orchestrated everything, and I was wrong about it because it did not follow the comic books. In the comic books, it was Cassandra Nova, the bald-headed sister of Professor X. She was the mastermind behind the Genosha incident. For X-Men 97, it's Mr. Sinister. We knew he was going to be a villain in this season. It was still up in the air if he was going to be the main villain. And this right here just let us know that Sinister is going to be the main villain. He orchestrated everything, and that's how it is. So they're veering off from the comic books, which I'm fine with. Sinister still did play a part in the storyline, but he wasn't the big bad. I'm glad to see that he is. I want to see how they make him, if he's going to really live up to the billing, because in the OG, when he was okay, but he wasn't imposing. This version looks a little bit more intimidating to me.
I mean, you think there's still a possibility they can undercut him and we get Nova at the end of like episode?
I've heard, like, me, of course, me myself, I said Cassandra Nova could be it. I've talked to other people. They was like, well, Bastion might show up. People were saying also Apocalypse might show up. I'm like, they won't do Apocalypse. They did him great last in the OG when they won't do him again. Yeah, they don't need him again. I'm kind of glad that it's just going to be Sinister. I personally myself don't like storylines with a multitude of villains. I like it to where if you're saying that this is what's going on, so if Sinister is going to be the big bad, Sinister needs to be the big bad. We don't need, a sub boss to get to the boss.
No, I just need cannon fodder, like a
right.
couple fodder mutants.
Give me some Marauders. Throw some Marauders out there. Let the X-Men have to go through them. I don't need the Brotherhood. I don't need them. Give me some B-C level, henchmen, and let's go. We know Nightcrawler's coming in because he was in the opening scene. We know he's coming onto the team. Bishop Cable will probably be back. Storm is back.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I gotta say, from like a new fan perspective, like if you never appreciated Storm, but you kind of understood like some of the mystique, some of the power, some of the majesty that and aura that her character naturally has, X-Men 97 absolutely personified it with the scene where she's fully reclaiming herself, her powers, her force of nature, essence. Like, she was everything that you'd want from a mega level mutant who could control so many different aspects of nature. And for her to own who she is and be like, yeah, Forge, you did kind of do me wrong here, but also I had issues with myself, and I had to learn to accept what was going on and that everything is just something for me to overcome. And now that I've looked deep within me, because her fear of confined spaces you talked about a couple episodes ago, now she's,
I will say, I like how they did
it.
I like how they did it. I like how they did in this one. She actually freaked out the way I thought she should.
And it was nice as a new fan perspective to kind of get a little bit of Shi'ar in it. That being said, I do have to agree with you. Space, not really the biggest fan of, especially when Earthlings as a whole are kind of being referred down to, which I know X-Men has always been something that's been talking about everyone's place in society, how certain people need to be represented more or represented better. And having the Shi'ar talking down the X-Men like that, I was like, hey, excuse me, not really liking these comparisons here. And then we had the whole silly Apple scene, but like Charles, I get it from his perspective if he has to go back to his kids. Would I have left the Shi'ar? Probably not, because that's the winning side if, push came to shove. But at the same time, hey, he's a father. Those are his kids. If you're a parent, you 100% get.
You're not abandoning your children. You're not.
They're not my actual blood children, and if I raised them half right, they would have been able to stand on their own 2 feet, as opposed to watching Scott continue to bumble his way forward, and now
that was in one episode. That's
Scott,
one episode. That's
with Magneto gone.
One episode. I'm not holding that one episode against him, and even in that one episode, he still started going off on folks. So,
I mean, it's entirely up to representation.
Let's talk about Storm. We haven't talked about Storm and Forge yet. Yeah. Will, you want to do the Storm and Forge or?
I mean, Storm and Forge again. Storm and Forge, they had a rift, and throughout the comics, so that Forge did what he did. Storm had a problem with it, so that they broke up, and eventually that led her off to go do other things, with T'Challa, so on and so forth. And that's just kind of more or less her storyline. Now, the deeper dive into Forge, I know you'll get into and stuff like that, but again, this is all surface level for me as far as the relationship because I don't really see it lasting. Storm is the next man. That's where that's where she's gonna be. So with that, and Forge is gonna go. And again, we're gonna get X Force and all that kind of stuff later on. I'm sure we're gonna get more X Force running around. We're gonna get some, some more characters and stuff introduced and stuff like that. And that's probably gonna be the whole spinoff going that way. While X Men is gonna continue in this main continuity. So honestly, I don't really want to get into much more about Forge because I don't think he's gonna be as big a player throughout this series. As
I think this might have been his arc right here.
Yeah,
I think that's it. And I will say that I kind of like how they changed the adversary because he is different than the comic in 97. He's more of a demonic force that plays off of fear, but in the comic he is actually Forge's rival. So I do like how they changed up. I mean, him when that thing was crawling up in that little cave when the head was spinning, yeah, that was kind of freaky. I like that. Wait, we forgot something about Xavier. He a freak.
You ain't know?
Remember he was no, remember they was talking about, they're chanting me like I'm your pet, and she was like, hey, he was like, hey, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
He liked them chains.
But like, look, just to put like a bow on the very top of this. Look, if Forge's only arc and only like big moment is being Storm's love toy, men can do severely worse than the goddess of nature. Let's just put that fine cap on that because I mean, she's Storm. She's one of a kind. Like X-Men 97 ladies are doing their thing, and the appropriate love things are forming. And we got a lot of stuff to look forward to in the upcoming weeks with this show.
I'm gonna double up on the badassity of Storm getting her powers back and just going back Omega level on that mountain. That was beautiful. The dialogue was beautiful.
From space.
The shuttle, the little satellite was up there like, hey, we got a front over there. Y'all see that over there? It's a problem. So I'm glad that she got her power back. We knew it was going to happen because she is a necessity for the X-Men now, since they have lost Magneto and Gambit. Yeah. So you have to replace an Omega with an Omega. Well, even though I don't believe Magneto's dead.
Yeah, we don't have concrete evidence that Magneto is dead. Even
Gambit is fried. Nah, Gambit blew up.
No, I'm saying Gambit is freaking dead. So that freaking. But again, we saw his body. The whole Professor X scene was the confirmation. That's the confirmation for him and everything that Gambit is dead. Something like I need to go back. Like this is a problem. So we got the Gambit confirmation, Magneto stuff there because again, we don't see a body. We just see him disappear. So he can be off. Take it as a chance to back off from
Brent think he's slick because he's raising his hand.
I know, right?
Brent think he's slick because he raised his hand. I know what you're doing.
I had a question. When we finally got that corny classroom scene and we had the very penultimate end of it, when we had Gambit shoot those laser beam visions or whatever it was that more of a reflection of Sinister or is that more of a reflection of the Wild Sentinel from the last episode? Asking for a novice.
I'm going to lean toward the Sentinels just because of the coloration of the beams.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was more or less like a quick recap for Professor X to understand that these things are happening. Again, he's got flashes and images and stuff like that. And I think, when you have that link to your children, like you feel their pain. Like, so Gambit, who of course had the most pain and stuff like that, and then the collective pain of everybody for the loss and stuff like that, all that's affected him. And again, he's able to see what's going on. So he knew that something happened. Gambit's death, how he died, like just something happened. So he's going to go back and get all the full answers and kind of try to re-bolster the X-Men because they're shattered right now. They're hurting. So he's got to go back there, re-bolster them so that to get them to get ready for what's impending.
And while we're nearing the end of everything, we're almost coming up on that 20-minute mark. We got anything else we really needed to delve into?
I just want a Dark Cyclops. That's all I want. I want Cyclops with Wolverine's attitude. I do. I need that one.
I just need Scott to be redeemed.
He doesn't need to be redeemed.
Yeah, he doesn't, but
he had one half of an episode where he lost his mind.
He
and
bumbled the whole
and
episode.
He literally told the lady, "I'm better than you. You wouldn't be alive if it was because of me." So I don't know what you need.
And
not very heroic. That being said, what would be heroic is hitting that lovely red subscribe button, saying that Iron Man sucks, and that we will see you in the next one.